Let's now create a gas wind, and that'll make our smoke smell really bad. No, just kidding. It won't. This will add a little bit of wind though. It will get very windy. Right now, that's in the X direction, but we want this to go in the negative X direction. So let's say -1 in X, and now we just have a consistent breeze going that way. If, let's say, we add a little bit of noise though to this wind scale, that's going to add a little bit of more organic behavior, and it won't just cause the wind to be totally flooring it like this. In order to achieve this effect, let's first of all bypass everything else. Create a null right there. Let's name this our control. There we go. Color that black. Let's go to the cogwheel, edit parameter interface. Let's add a float parameter to this. And if you don't know what I'm doing, then that's too bad. No, check out Houdini for the New Artist Part 2 if you don't know what I'm doing. I'm just creating a parameter here, a float parameter, that we can use to multiply against this wind scale. So let's call this wind scale. Wind scale, like that. Apply, accept. Now if we right click this, we can go to motion effects, noise, and this will create a chop network right here, this motion effects, that will essentially have some sort of random value happening over time. Now I'd like to set this between 0 and 1. So we could say the mean value is 0.5, and from here we can just kind of turn down the amplitude. So let's have an amplitude of 1, and there we go. Now we have some kind of noise. Let's change this period so that it is a little bit more gradual like this. We can also change the exponent to control how, I guess, harsh the transitions are. And then again, with this amplitude, we can kind of control how much that's happening. We'll probably end up staying around 1 and then just messing around with the multiplication against this control. So anyway, we have this noise. Now if I play this over time, let me turn off this sim, you could see that now we are moving that parameter like so, and that's going to create that randomized wind effect. For this wind scale, let's first of all copy this parameter and say we have some sort of value times paste relative references, that wind scale. And so now, as we play this, the wind is not going to be consistent the whole time. It's going to have a little bit more noise. While we test this, let's also turn down our resolution so that we can try this out faster. Let's go here, say 100, like that. And let's also turn this down, so maybe wind scale starts at 0.5, and then it multiplies against whatever we have. So there we go. It's kind of just a slight breeze that's pushing this in a general direction, like so. I would like, however, there to be times where there is no wind. So to do that, we need to go back to this motion effects, highlight this noise, go to the motion effects view. There is our noise. We could see that it's going between, it's around 0.5, 1, so on. Let's turn up this exponent kind of like that, and then also add a limit right here so that it never goes below 0. So a limit will clamp the minimum here at 0. And now if our noise ever decides to reach 0, then it's not going to go negative. So let's try that, see what this does. This will give us more of a gusty wind kind of effect. So stuff is just normal, and then a gust of wind should come through, probably right around there, boom. It goes back to normal, and I think that this is going to be really cool. So now we have something a bit like that, which is great because I think that just adds a lot of awesome organicness to the whole thing. Okay, one last thing is let's change the direction of the wind gradually over time as well. We can do this by creating some kind of noise for this negative direction here in X. And depending on where you want to swing this location, we can either swing it going around Z, kind of like that, or we can go up, or we can do a combination of all that. So really up to you how you want to do that. But we can create a noise. Let's just take, well, okay, let's just take the negative version of this wind scale. Copy parameter. We could use that for this as long as we set it negative right there. And then we can only have to worry about one of these channels. Let's create another float. We'll call this our, let's go in the Z direction. So Z direction randomize. Sure. We'll go like that. Apply, accept. Again, motion effects, noise. And in this case, we'll set the amplitude to 1. And I kind of like going both negative and positive with this. Let's just actually change the amplitude to something a little bit less, though, so it's not totally intense. And then we could take this, let's say copy the parameters, and also just kind of keep an eye on these values here. Probably actually need to turn that up just a tad bit. Right click, motion effects. Let's go to this network. Let's bring this up just a little bit. There we go. So maybe about that. And okay, great. So now we have that copy parameter, paste relative reference in the Z. So that now the direction is also randomly changing over time. Let's go ahead and re-enable this. And now we can kind of keep a bird's eye view on where stuff might actually be pushing towards. So there we go. We see that going on. We can kind of see, in general, it's not just staying in one spot. The Z direction is coming into effect, especially right there. You can see it kind of went to the left and then went back right. So we have all kinds of really cool organic stuff happening, which is great. Now, you'll need to dial in this motion effects to however you like. It is something that you need to spend a bit of time with, but in general, that is how you could set that up. All right, and then for the final resolution, I'd recommend doing something between 500, 600, something around that range in the max axis, uniform divisions. So let's say 500, and hopefully my graphics card will not crash. See what that does. Pyro imports. Let's create a file cache node, and then simply say $OS/$OS f4 bgo.sc. Change the name here to pyro cache, and we could save this out.